Episode 38. All right, so let me explain the problem from last time. Or actually, let me explain what I want. This is what I want. I want the water extractors that are able to go to 10 meters, to be able to pump to 10 meters. And at the 10 meter mark, I want a storage tank. And I want it to be pretty much 10 meters to be the middle of the tank. So those water extractors can pump water up and fill this tank halfway. And they can fill it really quick because they've got full flow rate real quick to halfway, and then they kind of stop and they cannot fill it past halfway. So once it gets to half, it shuts off, but once it falls below half, they turn on and they fill it back up really quick. Then I want the refinery that's going to output the water. It can pump 10 meters, and I need that 10 meters to be higher than this 10 meters because it's also going to pump into this tank. And there's always going to be room in this tank because these can't fill it more than halfway. So there's room for these to push into the tank and go up and fill it. Once the tank the water gets drawn out of the tank for the refineries that use water, the tank level is going to start to drop. But these are not going to turn on until the water gets more than halfway down, right? So all of our excess water is just going to go into this tank, and it's always going to get used, and there's always going to be room for it, and it's always going to come out before these turn on. So this is a system I've used before, and once you set it up, it works perfect. There's never any issues. The problem I'm having here is just unfortunately the way the heights have worked out, right? Because both of these can go 10 meters and a pump can go 20. So the water extractors can go 10 meters. That happens to be pretty much where the floor of this building is. Then you've got the refinery that can go 10 meters, and then you've got a tank. Well, that would mean the tank would need to be down like here, basically, because then that would work, and then that would work. So that's why I've been messing with it, trying things. So if I try to do pumps, because if I put a pump down here on this line, okay, instead of going to 10, it can go to 20. But these go to that same height still. Like the pump doesn't help me just because of the fact the pump's 20 and these are 10. It just puts me at the same spot. So that doesn't really help me out. So if I use pumps, I would have to put a pump here to get this to here. But now I got to put a pump here to get that to there, which means everything needs pumps. So that's one solution, put pumps on everything. The other solution is to put the tank halfway out of the floor, except I didn't really leave room for that at all in any way. So I'm not sure how I would do that. There's probably numerous ways I could do this in just a different way. There's valves. We could, try to put a valve on and see if that would work. I'm very stubborn. And so once I know how I want to do something, I want to make this work. And I've been trying to make this work. And yeah, we probably could have done it a different way and done it quicker. The valve thing, I'm going to experiment with that right now, and I'm going to see how that works. And it probably will work. I still really wanted these tanks. So I'm not saying for sure we're going to go with the valves, but I'm going to test them out real quick because I'm pretty sure they'll fix it. Okay, I've got a valve on here. And so just as a reminder, these two refineries need water. They need 180 water each, so the two of them need 360 water. It just so happens that the refineries that put out water put out 120. So if I take this 120 and I put it down on a pipe and I send it down and I bring it up and send it there, instead of needing 360, we need 240 still, right? We need 360, there's the 120, so I still need 240. So that pipe also, besides connecting here, runs down and connects to two water extractors, which each one's 120. So I got, 120 and 120 down there, 240. I got 120 here, which is 360. Bring it down here, I need 360. It works fine. And those technically can only send 240, right? So this shouldn't be a problem at all, except I already explained we have a height issue where the floor is basically as high as the water extractor can pump it. So I have to put a pump down there. The pump, though, because there's a bunch of pipe behind the pump and there's storage in the water extractor for like 50 water, there's a certain amount of water there that the pump can pump at like 600 a minute. And the pump will try to pump at 600 a minute. It should theoretically eventually like even out, but any kind of little hiccup will mess it up again. So this thing kept backing up. So what I've done is I've just come down here, right? So there's the line there that's bringing all the water, bringing the 360. It's coming down here. It's getting the, I think that was an autosave. It's getting its 120 there, and then it's going down to get its 240. So I put a valve here, and the only thing is, oh God, can I touch that? I've got it set to 470, which is 130 less than 600. So those extractors and that pump, even though they should just be a continuous 240, they can go up to 470, and it's still going to leave room for 130. This is only going to add 120. That should be the 360. This should work perfectly. So the only issue is there's no buffer tank. I would really like a buffer tank, because if these both try to draw water at once and there's, not enough, like we can have those little glitches like I was having at the oil refinery. So I would prefer a buffer tank. So I can let this run, because see, like right now, I don't think they're going to be completely full of water. They both stopped. That's why they're full. No, they're running. Okay. It might be completely fine. I would feel better with the buffer tank. I guess technically I don't need it, because when they both shut off, the water should build up behind that pump, and then that pump can push 470. So because there's a tiny amount of storage in each water extractor, I guess that's going to act as our buffer. This should theoretically work fine. And I could do it the way I want with adding the big tank. I would just have to add more pumps down here. I don't really want that. I don't even want those pumps down there, but I kind of have to have them. So I'm just going to let this run for a bit and see if this is our fix. It probably is. I still don't like it. I wanted to do it the other way just because I'm stubborn, but this will probably be the fix. I just tested something out and it actually works. Because we're only going to this height instead of going up to a tank, and I said it was basically at the floor. It's not exactly at the floor. It was kind of a little bit above the floor. This is actually working without a pump down there. So I have the 2 water extractors feeding into the pipe, and then I've got the valve, and then I've got this other one. And yeah, it's actually working. So not only do I not have pumps here, but there's no pumps down there. So it's just the water extractors moving the water and the refineries. And it seems to be working. I'm not going to hook it up like this. I want something that looks a little better than this. I just threw this in. So I'm going to figure that out. And I'm just going to start hooking all these up and putting all the valves on. And we'll see if this works or not. I'm going to have to put a bunch more sinks in, because I want everything to run continuously. I just want to test if this works. It looks like it's going to. There's probably other easier ways to do it. I mean, all we're doing is adding valves. I guess that's not that hard, but I just really didn't like the idea of having all these pumps on everything when I shouldn't really need them. It's just that the heights kind of didn't work out for me. So I am having an issue, and I set this one up like this, and then I went and changed the other one like that, and they were both having an issue where just at certain points there's no water coming in. Like right now there's no water coming into either one, and there should be. And this was working, and I don't know, and the junction before was actually a little higher than it is now. So I've technically lowered this pipe some, but I don't know if somehow I've tweaked this in such a way that just the water extractors now think they can't quite get this high, even though it's technically a little lower. This one's also still having problems, so I'm going to go ahead and take this out. And I'm going to switch this back up to basically how it was. Oh, I think I had it on noodle. I don't think that should matter, but I definitely had it on noodle before. We'll see if this does anything different. That's the exact height it was. It's interesting that it seemed to work, and then when I changed it, it doesn't work. Yeah, it's definitely, because this thing is sitting here full, but yet upstairs the things aren't full. So I think we're just right at the height limit where it almost works, but it doesn't quite work. So I'm gonna have to add pumps. So I'll probably just pick a spot here and just add pumps all the way across. And yeah, it'll be what it'll be. It's just unfortunate. Like the building kind of needed to be 2 or 3 meters lower, and that would have worked. But I definitely wasn't thinking about the pumps. Well, I probably just assumed I was going to put pumps in. And then I kind of was like, oh, wait, I could get by without pumps. Now we're going to need pumps. All right, let's get some pumps, and then I think we'll be fixed. We'll still need valves up there. Pumps plus valves, everything should be fixed. Well, so far, both of these are working perfectly. There's no difference between the buffer tank or not, just because adding the pumps is enough to kind of overrule any issues. I'm thinking if I don't get any benefit out of the tank, I don't really need it. I'm probably going to leave both of these here and then start doing some more. And I think the only difference will be I'll probably move the junction one up. And then, of course, I'll do the pipes. I'll do them as straight instead of the noodle, and just make sure that that doesn't change anything. It should not matter at all, especially since we got the pumps now. But I'm pretty sure this is fixed. I'm like 90% sure this is fixed. And it doesn't matter if I do this or this with the pumps. I was just trying to do it without the pumps because I'm like, oh, I can make this work without the pumps. And then I spent way too long on that, and I should have just given up. But like I said, I'm stubborn. Well, I encountered my first conveyor problem. So the bottom belt goes along, and it should be full. Yeah, it should be full because it got everything dumped on it there. And it got stuff dumped on it there. Yeah, so this belt's completely full, 780. Comes to this first splitter, which should try to send everything left, right? And then overflow goes straight, which won't be enough for the next one. Yeah, like I was saying, I didn't set that up correctly in the first place. Never mind. Found two more issues. I had made this a regular splitter instead of a smart splitter, and that belt still wasn't, because this bottom belt should be completely full, and it still wasn't completely full. So I went ahead and added the top one here. So they all try to fill the bottom belt completely full. It gets kicked off. Then this belt ends into that, and then when the top belt comes down again, so this is completely full. It comes down, it gets kicked off. Then the top belt comes down again. The bottom belt's completely full. That would get kicked off, which it is. So then we fill the bottom belt again, and that might be enough there that I don't need the top belt, but still bringing it down. And then that gets kicked off, and then that runs in to fill it again and go there. Yeah. And also, just as a reminder, this all is based on having a Mark 6 belt that can bring 1200 out of one of these bauxite nodes, and I don't have it. So I came over here expecting this one that should be, if we had the Mark 6 1200, right? But it's only, it should be 780. I don't know why it's 680. This one here, though, 480, that should be 600. There's a problem there. This one should be 3, and it's 3. So I need to go out and investigate this one. And yeah, this one was 780. I don't know why it's dropped. Definitely got an issue outside. Where's my door? Got one little section of Mark 5 belt there. Oh, actually more than one section. That should fix that. Now it says 560, but it stopped. Is that why? Because it's stopping? That must be it, because it just started to stop. Okay, so that's that problem. And that's because the 4 at the end aren't on. Now, when I do turn those on, we're going to be starved for bauxite because we're not getting the 1200. We're only getting 780. I've also got something wrong with the coal. Now, this one is kind of stopping because I haven't turned on that last set of machines, and this goes down there. There should be more than 480 coal coming in. So somewhere I've put a Mark 4 belt on that line, which is kind of a bummer because that goes from here under the bridge all the way up to there, all the way up to there. Yeah, so I got to find out where that slow line is. Well, it's right here, right where the coal comes down and then starts to run under the bridge. Oh, wait, that one's, yeah. That should fix it. Lots of little issues. So I made a minor math mistake at some point. I'm not sure how I managed to do this, but basically I knew like what I needed for all my inputs and outputs, and I had it all written down here. But right here, 3 bauxite nodes, impure, normal, pure, Mark 3 miners, 250%, gets me 300, 600, 1200, which is 2100 a minute. So that's what I tried to build the factory around. One refinery takes 120 bauxite, blah, 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 blah. So with 20 refineries, I need 2,400 bauxite. And then I built everything around that. I don't know how I went from 21 to 24. I don't know how I did that. So obviously right now, we're not getting 300, 600, 1200. We're getting 300, 600, 780. And I haven't hooked up the last machines, the last 4 machines, which should have meant that instead of needing 780, I only need 720. So we should actually, the bauxite should be backed up a little bit and it's running dry, which is when I started looking at my numbers here and realized, oh, yeah, I need more. Well, I could just like delete a couple refineries, except I already got all the quartz and all the coal and all the silica and everything is set up for the 2400 bauxite. And there is actually 2 more. So there's the factory, right? There's 2 more bauxite nodes over here, an impure and a normal. Where are they at? Oh, right there and right there. So impure and a normal. So that would easily, I could get 300, the missing 300 and get it back over there. But also instead of waiting for a Mark 6 belt, if I put 720, I believe, right? So we need, yeah, because 1680, yeah, 720. So I need 720. If I took these 2 and put 720 on it and got that back to the factory, we could actually have the full 2400 right now. I wouldn't have to wait for a Mark 6 belt, which is probably the smart thing to do. Now, getting from here to the bridge isn't bad, but the bridge wasn't set up for another conveyor. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to have to drop down to get below, and then we'll run it here. Not sure what else to do about that. You know, it's not ideal. I made a math mistake, but everything else I made was set for 2400. So I guess we'll get another 720 over there, and then actually everything will work perfectly. You know, assuming I hooked everything up correctly. All right, so we've already got a 300, a 600, and a 780 back there, which means I can go underclock that Mark III miner from 1200 to 780. We need another 720. We take this one with 200% overclock, that's 480. And we take this one with 200% overclock, that's 240. 240 and 480 is 720. So I should just have to hook up the power here. Those will start cranking some bauxite out in a second. Huh? I thought that connected. I mean, it's looking like it's connected. Did I do the merger wrong? No, because the arrows. I mean, yeah, obviously that looks like it's, you know, too close, but I mean, it clicked. It clicked. Okay, well. All right, I just moved the merger back a meter. So there's that 720 going. Goes under the bridge. I had to run this power down and grab power from up there. Goes under the bridge, just like I said. And it gets all the way over to that wall. And then we've got to do it inside to get it basically from that end to that end. I think it's going to make the most sense. All right, so the new one that we just ran comes in here, and I just ran it along the floor down to here because it just needed to get from there to here. Now, the reason I picked this point, if we go back here, we've got our, and I should change this sign because it's going to be 780 from now on. 300, 600, 780. I removed those and moved them down to here. 300, 600, 780. And we're going to push mainly the middle belt down. But then if there's room, the top belt. So we get 780, so we got a full belt, 170 left, 720 left. And it's kind of it's not 100%. Like, it will try to push all of the 600 down, but you can see some of it's getting through. But then some of that goes down. It's like not 100%. It's like 90%, but that's fine for our purposes. The only thing we care about is that this is a full 780. Some of it runs out there. We're left with 300 and then 170, 730. We run down here. We push it down again. All that's left is 780. And that's because 300 and 170, that's all going to fit. So that belt doesn't even need to go down further. So those two will combine. There's still some room left. So some of that comes down. So we got 780 and 420. Then we come down here. Then we kick off, right? So there's our 780 and 420. We kick off 480. So I chose this point to bring this belt in. Because there's no reason to have it down there. The bottom belt is 780 the whole time. There's no way it's not going to be. So here, we already had this one, and this was pushing down, right? But it wasn't getting us a full 780 out. Well, it pushes it down, and then it kicks out, right? So, yeah. We've got 780. We're kicking out. We're filling it back up with 420, but we're kicking off 480. So this isn't going to be quite full. So I hooked this up here. And I ran that down so that this is a full 780. You can tell it's not taking much, but this is a full 780 just there. And then it kicks off, and then it's 320 and 108. So I've gone ahead and ran these down. We got to go uphill a little bit here because I didn't plan on doing this. We got some signs. Oh, I should put one there. So 300, 110, and then 300? No, 525. Okay, good. I did run that a little bit further. Okay, so it's going to take the rest of that belt down, and you can see it's at 0, but some of it could kick through. And we're still not quite at a full belt, but we should be. I don't know why that's not 780. Oh, it's not. No, is it backing up? That's why. Okay, it's backing up occasionally. It's backing up occasionally. Otherwise, that would work. All right. Yeah, so we've got more here. I need to hook these other ones up. No, not like that. That should draw the full 2400. That should draw this at 780. Because, yeah, that merger should be set. It's still not, though. I've done something different here. So we're filling that back up, so that should be a 780. It should flow continuously. We're kicking the first line off. Then we're adding this one in. Maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe, now it says 780. Maybe it's okay now. I feel like I maybe should just end this. Because I don't think it matters. It's still going to prioritize that line. As long as this never backs up, it's fine. And it shouldn't. If these numbers are even remotely accurate, that should never back up. Because that one, the right's going to be set to a higher priority. Yeah, and it's going to fill up the remainder off of this belt, but that should always be fine. So there's your 780. The middle belt's got nothing, so let's get rid of it. Get rid of that. I don't even need that, do I? Because the math should work out exactly. So if we run this up. So you're a full 780, you're kicking off the rest. That should be pretty much perfect. It shouldn't really stop that up once it starts flowing. That should be exactly 2400. Okay. I don't know why there's big gaps. I guess because it's pulling stuff off. Well, it shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as this one is 780 every time. 780 minus the 480 is 300. We've obviously got way more. Yeah, this should be a consistent 780 right here. I don't quite get it. Just that the gap in that lines up with the gap in this sometimes. It's the only thing I can think. Which it shouldn't technically matter, right? As long as this is above 480, 480 is going off. The rest of it's going this way, and then the rest of that's adding up. And those are filling up. Let me go ahead just because I've got some of my inventory, fill these up and see what that does. Yeah. All right, I'm just going to let this run for a little bit and see if I can find any more issues. It should work. Were you going to bring in 2400? We're using exactly 2400. Well, there's a problem with the other coal line. Like, I recognize the first problem because there was big gaps. And standing here, they're both going the same speed, so it doesn't look that bad. But when I put the thing on it, yeah, this one's running at 480. So somewhere else, I've got a 480 belt. And we fixed one. We just didn't fix the other. Yeah, it was literally right here. How did I replace these with a Mark V? And I didn't bother to check this one, that one wasn't... All right. Yeah, I was looking at the silica downstairs, and I'm like, something's wrong here. So I came up here, and yep, another 480 belt somewhere. So that's going to be on the one closest to this hole. Yep, just this one little segment here. And what I notice is the excess, each belt supplies too much. So the excess gets kicked off, all the excess combines, and that's what feeds this last one. And I was down here and the silica was going down. I'm like, I'm not getting enough silica, but I don't know where. And yeah, so that's it. So now it's looking a little better. I'm just gonna have to let this run for a long time and keep checking for things. There's another Mark V belt right there. Or Mark IV, you know what I meant. I'm just like standing here, I'm like, this doesn't look right. This has been running for over an hour, and each one of these should read 240, and every single one does. I just checked before I started recording, just in case there was another problem to go fix, but it's all working perfectly. No issues, other than, you know, the 13 issues we've already, oh, I didn't show this one, 240, other than the issues we've already fixed. So at this point, we're making 2,400 aluminum ingots a minute. Now, what are we going to do with those? Well, the two things I know for sure I want to do here, because there's no reason to just, you know, I would say truck, but basically transport ingots away. There's only two things we're going to do with them. Take ingots and make casings, and then take aluminum ingots and copper ingots and make the Alcad sheets. And I made sure there was some copper over here. So I'm thinking, you know, we'll definitely do those two things. Now, I was trying to look at numbers, like, you get the 2,400 aluminum ingots. How much should you make into casings and how much into sheets? I was looking at recipes and things that are going to use them. So the heat sinks take the sheets. The radio control units take casings. These take the heat sinks, which is sheets. This one takes both of those. So that's sheets and... casing. This takes the casings. This takes turbo motors, which takes the sheets and the casings, and it takes the cooling systems, which takes one of them. And then I was looking at the space elevator parts and stuff. And what I kind of came up with, just as a rough kind of guess, was I want probably, and I don't know this for sure, I want probably... sorry, I had to go to my other screen so I could see the numbers. More casings than sheets. That's just kind of what it looks like to me. And then I was looking at how does 2,400 divide out, because this takes 30. No, This takes 30 ingots into 30 sheets. This takes 90 ingots into 60 sheets. Yeah, good thing I got the numbers in front of me because I'm saying them all wrong. So what I kind of came up with, so what I want to do, I'm going to have 26 assemblers. We're going to take 780 of the aluminum ingots plus 260 copper ingots. That'll make us 780 of the aluminum sheets. We're going to take 18 constructors. We're going to use the remaining 1,620 aluminum ingots to make 1,080 casings. And I'm kind of just on my initial glance at all those machines and, you know, how many recipes take the sheets and the casings and then how many other recipes call those recipes. Just a rough kind of guess that I need more casings than sheets. That could be wrong, but that's what I'm going to go with. So we're going to make 780 sheets a minute and 1,080 casings a minute. So that's the plan. And that will be most likely 26 assemblers. Yeah, I can easily fit that in one bay, right? What's my assembler thing? 8? 8 and 8. Yeah, we can fit 26 in one bay, and then definitely the constructors we can fit. So we'll make both of those in these 2 bays. You know, I will say we do have a lot of room in here for train stations because obviously I do not need any of this. We used a little bit of it, and you know, this probably could have been done somewhere else, but the only problem is it would have been nice to put a train station here, but I can't get through here back over to there. But I could definitely make a train station coming in, or even several of them coming in, and then you turn and then get on that other track to go out. Or, I mean, this station doesn't even have to stay here, does it? It doesn't actually have to be here. We haven't hooked anything up to it. Yeah. I mean, the drones make sense for like some of the stuff, but I don't know. I'm just thinking like I made all that train stuff. Shouldn't I make more trains maybe? I think I'm ready to turn everything on. I think. So what I did, I hooked up that copper node. That's a pure node. I put a Mark III miner on it, but I set it only to 260, I think. And the copper's feeding in, and it's been feeding in for a while making ingots. So we've got that. Let me run back inside. Okay, so just inside the door, the copper's right there. It's running up to the top floor. Up here on the top floor next to all of our crystalline to silica. We've got the copper here. It runs up to the ceiling, over, all the way down, over, back down, feeds into all these. I need 8 of them at full speed, and then I need 1 of them at 2/3. And that'll get me my 260. They combine back together and go back down. And then on the bottom production floor, the copper comes down there and runs down. So what we've got, I've shut all this off. All I did was disconnect the bauxite conveyors, these 3 here, and that one that goes across right there. So there's nothing running into these, so it all shut off, just because I didn't want it to fill up, because I wanted to be able to test it properly. So out of all of these that were making the aluminum ingots, what I had to do was I needed 12 of them. No, 13? I needed 13. So those 4, these 4, these 4, and this 1. So this one runs around, picks up those 4, picks up those 4, comes down here, combines with those 4, runs down here. These are all the assemblers to make the Alcad sheets. So that's all the aluminum run in. The copper is going to come in, and as you can see, that's the conveyor for the copper, and the copper stopped right there. So when I connect that, those are going to start making the sheets. Autosave. Coming back down here, these 3 go down all by themselves. These 4 underneath that conveyor picks up these 8, right? Because that one runs through and runs out, and then comes down. And then I believe it's its own conveyor. And then these 12. So it's basically these 12 are on a conveyor, these 12 are on a conveyor, and then those 3 are by themselves. And the 3 by themselves is the top conveyor. But the other one is 12 and 12. So those run down here, and I haven't connected them yet. These are making the casings. So I've got The 12 of those feed down this line. The other 12 feed down this line. And it's 8 on each side. And then the conveyor with just the 3 feeds down and splits onto these 2 because we needed, hold on, I need my sheet that I can't see. We needed 26 assemblers with 780 aluminum ingots and 260 copper. And that's going to make us our 780 aluminum sheets. And then here we needed 18 constructors with 1,620 aluminum ingots, which means I needed 3 belts. And it just worked out really well to divide it into 720, 720, and then 360, I think, which is just what the 2 take. So it's all hooked up. The output from the casings are set to sinks. The output from the sheets is set to a sink. I should be able to come over here, connect the copper, and I probably should connect the copper and let it run for a little minute, a couple minutes. I guess I should let it run maybe for a minute or 2, and then I'll connect the aluminum. I just need to try to get a bunch of copper in there because otherwise the aluminum's going to run in and it's going to back up because I think most of them are full on aluminum. I think, yeah. Give me just a couple minutes and then I'll hook up the bauxite. All right, it's been like maybe 90 seconds, 2 minutes. Go ahead and connect those up. Where's this at? This. Okay. That should get all that running. Should start sending stuff back over. And theoretically, it should all be hooked up and working and everything should work fine. We should be getting 780 aluminum sheets a minute over here, which would max this belt out. And we should be getting 1,080 casings. So 50 or 540 on each one. But we will let this go for a couple minutes and I'll see how many things did I screw up. Oh, like this where I didn't connect it. Yes, that would help. That would help a lot, actually. Okay. Minor setback there, but that should be fine. All right, we'll see what happens here in a few minutes. And I did put these in separate bays, and I kind of started them from different ends because those ingots run down and then feed this, and then these run down and feed that. And as you can see, I could have technically put them together because I did space that back a little bit, and I spaced this one back a little bit, and if I would have pushed them both up, they would have fit perfectly. The only thing is, I don't know for sure that this is the right ratio that I need, you know, the 780 sheets and the 1080 casings. Maybe I need it different, and it's just so much easier to have it like this where I could just take this blueprint and click another one on, or I could take that blueprint and click another one on. And yeah, you could technically make it work if you needed more of those and less of these. But what if you needed, like, instead of deleting the whole blueprint, I needed to delete like these 2 and then add those 2, or you know what I mean? It's just, this is simpler this way and it wastes a little space, but I can easily expand or expand. So far, everything's looking good. It takes a long time for these to back stuff because the scrap stacks to 500. So that one's full. This one's still trying to fill up, you know, yeah. So then this one down here, it gets starved quite a lot, and it's only running, you know, 22% of the time right now, but eventually that one will get filled up. And I know all of this works correctly, and I know the math is correct as far as, you know, how much I've got going over here. That was an autosave, and going over there. It's just a matter of, did I mess something up, forget something, whatever. So far so good, but we're not maxing things out yet until everything gets back stuffed. I definitely think running 780 on a 780 belt here has a big potential to cause a problem. When I get the Mark 6 belts, I think just upgrading from there to, you know, maybe just a couple in as a Mark 6 would completely solve that problem. Because right now, if anything gets backed up, it can't catch up. It's never going to be able to empty because it can't go faster than 780 to catch up. but it's not backed up now, so it technically should be fine. I could just see that being a potential issue, but we wouldn't need much Mark 6 to take care of it. So far, everything's looking pretty good. The only issue is none of that's at full production just because these are still trying to fill up. The first two all the way down are all at 500. Then these are all in the 300s. And of course, then these are turning on and off. So they're only running at 2/3 right now because they keep running out just because there's more going into these. So it's going to take probably 15 more minutes, I think, for this to hit 500. And then when it does, then these should be at full production. Because right now I should be sending 720, 720, and 180. So you can see we're at 660 instead of 720. And then at the other end, so we should be sending 780 and we're at 700. And then of course this should be at 260, right? Looking at my sheet. Yeah, this should be at 260, but if you're not sending enough aluminum, you're not going to need enough copper. So that one's still got to go up some too, but it's the same thing. The first two are all at 500, and then this third one, oh, this third one's almost at 500 on this. So those are almost filled up, and then these will actually start working 100% once that happens. So we're getting there. I'll just bring you back. Ugh. Nope, wrong button. Haha. I'll bring you back once we've hit all the numbers. All right, everything's working great. I just wanted to show the load balancer up here. So we got the two belts of 500 coming in, then they split and recombine into 4. So we got the 4 belts of 250. They're all joining these belts. The important thing is down here, it's moving continuously, not stopping. And the only place we want to see it stop are the belts coming from upstairs with the brand new stuff. So that's a really good use case for the priority merger to always take these, because these will back up the machines. If those back up, we don't care. So this is looking really good. Everything downstairs is looking good. All the numbers are correct. Go over here and look at this. 720, 720, and 180. That's exactly what those should be. And then it should be 1080 into the sink, which would be 540 and 540, which is exactly what these are. And then down here at this end, we're feeding in 780 aluminum and 260 copper. And we're sending out 780 of the Alcad sheets. So looks to me like everything's working good. I don't think I had to fix anything really. I think everything worked. It just took a while for everything to back up and start working at 100%. So we'll definitely call it an episode here. I think there's a very good chance. Let me run down here to the end. So what else are we going to make in this building? We've got the sheets here. I've got more copper. We've got that pure node, so there's more of it, and there's a normal node. I could make the heat sinks here. This one. Okay. Oscillators and computers. I mean, those are both at the medium factory. Cooling system. Heat sinks. Rubber, water. The nitrogen's here. Cooling system, radio control units, motors, rubber. Yeah, okay. This one, heavy modular frames, the casing, and the gas. Like, maybe we could make this one here. We just have to bring a tiny amount of heavy modular frames from the medium factory. We could do that with the drone. These are all fairly complex to make here, needing multiple things. This one we could easily make here with nothing else, but then it becomes, okay, what are we doing with the heat sinks? Because the heat sinks are needed in one of these, and yeah, that's not going to be made here, and we're not going to make all this back at the medium factory. So then you kind of think like, okay, so we're going to do stuff at a different building, like a large factory. What do I want to send from here to the large factory? We could have just sent aluminum ingots, but I think it's fine to just send the sheets and the casings instead, just because now we're kind of using the copper that's here instead of the copper that would be there. Should we also make the fused modular frames? I mean, nitrogen is here. Where's the large factory going to be? It might not have nitrogen, so that might make sense. But then there was another one that takes nitrogen. So I'm not for sure on any of those. I could kind of go one way or the other. That's definitely something I got to figure out before next episode. I think the fuse modular frames make sense here, but then we're shipping 3 items out from this building. Or should I just drone a bunch of stuff over and not do a large factory and then just do all this stuff upstairs? Other than, why is there a train that comes here? Yeah, I'm like, I want to use the train more. Basically, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I knew I was going to do this, and we did this, and then I left room to do other things, but I wasn't sure. So I have to figure that out before next episode. Yeah, wish me luck on that one. All right, guys, see you next time.